Hey, John Case with Line Drive Nation. Hey, thanks so much for jumping on. Hey, wanted to discuss travel ball today and trying to keep the right perspective. So, for you parents out there, coaches, just getting into parents that are just getting into travel ball. Maybe you're on a travel ball team already. Most everybody is. Want to kind of give you some ideas on keeping the right perspective as we navigate travel ball. So, to kind of give you a background on me, so I do online hitting lessons, do in-person hitting lessons, and coach two teams. So I've got two 11U teams. And I kind of got into it because I started a team when we were six, or when they were six. And so, I really enjoyed it more than the lessons because you got to work the defensive aspect. And so I enjoyed it. Ended up adding another team, and it's kind of grown from there. So want to kind of talk, I guess, big picture, what you really need to keep in mind, as we go through, what is the goal of travel ball? Is it to make to get a college scholarship? Is it to make a high school team? What's our real goal? And I would say, and you never know at the younger ages where somebody's going to be as they mature and grow. So, let's kind of go through some things that that you should look for, and then we'll kind of talk about programs and what you should look for in a program. But travel ball, used to be when I came up. Now I graduated in '94 and then graduated college in '98. But we used to it was kind of when you're you'd have your league ball, 20 game season in little league, and then you'd have your all-star team. So you probably played 30 games. And now it's really turned into where and then when you were 16 to 18, that's when you had your true travel ball. And it was really to get exposure for college. So you'd have a 60, 70 game season from 16 to 18. But up until then, it was league and then all-stars, which to me was really cool because you were on the same team every year and you developed rivalries and it was really a great time. But now, pretty much everybody's into travel ball. And the rec leagues, kind of have suffered a little bit, because everybody has a team, and so. But the advantage is, they're getting more games in, which I think is really important. But I think these are some of the goals right here. So, number one goal should be that your player enjoys the game enough that they come back each season. Okay, and I think that's where. And it's due to different circumstances. It could be, a coaching issue. It could be, they're feeling pressure from a parent. We've got to let them enjoy the game as much as we can. And listen, it can get competitive. It really can. But you can't lose sight of, are they going to want to play the following year? And I think that's the goal. So, if I was asked a goal of what I want for my players, I want them to be able to play long enough that they try out for a high school team and make a high school team. And that would be, successful if they enjoy the game that much. But, the other thing you want to look for is improvement, obviously. So, are they improving hitting wise? Are they improving defensively? That's you want them to grow each and every year with whatever program you're in, regardless of results on the field, as far as wins and losses. You want them to improve each and every year. And just checking comments. What's going on? Fernando, you doing all right? Thanks for jumping on. So, we want them to improve. The other thing is to learn work ethic, right? Being part of a team, being at practice, and, really just learning to work hard, learning to try to improve each and every day. They have to learn to handle failure and success, right? And baseball is a game of failure, and they're going to have a ton of failure. And I think that's when you look at, if they can handle failure and keep coming back each and every year, then that's going to, in the long run, that's what you want as a character trait, because baseball's temporary, right? They're going to move on at some point, no matter what level they play at. But if they can learn to handle failure and still come back and work hard and do all those things to try to achieve their goals, then you've created a successful kid for sure. And then they have to be able to handle success, right? They have to learn to win graciously, and they have to learn to do things the right way when they're having success on the field. One of the things I talk to my players about, I tell them, hey, I don't really care about wins and losses. Okay. But I do want you to be competitive. And so, whether, you get down big in the first inning, can you learn to battle back? If you have a lead, can you learn to hold that lead? But, it's not about, I wish we get away from, really focusing on wins and losses and, can the team just be competitive? So that kind of leads me into, so wanted to kind of address like AA versus AAA. Okay. So what I did for the first few years, so back in coach pitch, we had two pretty even teams. Okay. And so what I decided to do after we got into kid pitch is, I wanted to give those players, because really, like when you think of a AA player, and I know there's a AA, AAA major. I know in softball, you got different classes, but really the difference at the younger age at 12 and under is a size difference. Like if you look at my AAA team versus my AA team, I mean, that's the factor is, size, how hard they throw on the mound, what kind of exit velocity they have at the plate. It's just it's a big difference. But what happens is that all evens out as we get to middle school and especially into high school. Okay. So you have to keep that in mind when you're thinking, hey, is my player should be a AAA player, but he's playing AA. It just doesn't really matter, and what really matters is, and kind of going back to learning to compete, we have to put them in competitive situations. So if you've got a AAA team, that goes down and plays AA and just beats everybody every time, 15-2, what are you gaining out of that, right? So, I try to set them up in situations where, and the reason going AA, AAA is, there's players that maybe should be, but because of size, they can't be. They should be on the infield. They should be able to play different positions, but because of size, they can't, and remain competitive. So, I created the AA level team to allow those players to really grow, play positions they wouldn't play if they were playing with kids, that were more advanced physically. And so it's been real successful. So my advice, parents, is, don't worry about, what level your player's playing right now. Worry that they're improving. They're learning to work at it. They're learning to handle failure and success, and you want them to be in a competitive situation. So, AA teams are playing, 2-3 run games. That's great. AAA doing the same. Okay, but it's all one goal that the kids still want to play, and they're improving. And we're trying to get them to play and improve each and every year up till that, till they get to that high school level being the goal. So, kind of going to wins and losses. Again, that's, you don't want to be on a team, certainly that's, it's not ideal if you're 2-20, and again, it's not ideal if you're 36-2, so you want them to be in competitive situations and learn to play under pressure. And I think this is, this is something I kind of go back to. So in high school, like we had a really good team in high school and ended up winning a state championship one year. And, I used to always, back then, you had the newspaper delivered, and I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. So they did a real good job of covering high school sports. And I can remember waking up every day after a game and checking the articles. And I felt like the whole world was watching, and so, even in college, I kind of thought the same thing. It's kind of a life or death situation. What's going on the field, but in the end of it, there's nobody else is caring what's going on in youth baseball except for the other teams. At your level. So us as an 11U team, I don't know anything about what's going on in 12U. I don't know anything what's going on in 10U. Nobody cares. As far as results. Okay, they just don't. And so when you sit back and look at it, and kind of kids have all this pressure, parents feel the pressure to be on a winning team, but nobody else is watching. It only matters, hey, is your kid improving? Is he enjoying the game? It's just that's really the way it is. So I kind of wanted to go over some traits of a good program, and and I feel like I've done a pretty good job. There's some areas I definitely can improve, but I think you really need to look at how the players are treated. Okay, are they is the coach on them every mistake, right? Or are they pulling a kid out for making an error, making a substitution? Are they letting that kid work through it, and are they treating them the way they should be treated? To allow them to enjoy the game. And the biggest thing that we do, I think, the biggest pro of our program is we let the players play. We let pitchers and catchers call pitches. We let them do everything, pretty much on their own. Now practice is where you get it done, right? We're coaching in practice, we're coaching hitting, we're coaching defense. In a game, you let them play and end up with the results. So I think that you see a lot of overcoaching. You see a lot of coaches in the third base box, pretty much giving a hitting lesson from the third base box. And, you don't want it to be like that. You want them to own the game. You want them to enjoy playing the game. And I think when you let them play, and that goes from the stands as well, right? Just enjoy watching your player play. It's not a life or death situation. And, any added pressure, in a game of failure makes it tough. So I think finding a program that has structured practices where everyone gets reps everyone gets reps everywhere. Okay. So in our practices, and you can almost, by the time they're 11, I can kind of see where somebody may be in middle school or high school, but, I don't feel it's the time that, Johnny's just pigeonholed to the outfield in practice and only working on fly balls and outfield aspects. So we try to get everybody takes ground balls. Everybody works pretty much every position. Because again, you don't know where these kids are going to develop physically, and where they're going to end up at the high school level. So find a program, or if your program doesn't do this, because I've had many kids come to try out for me that say, or the parent will tell me, he hasn't taken a ground ball all season. That's not a good thing. Okay, so I think if you can find a program that everybody's working every position, would be the best benefit for sure. I think the parents have to know their role and it's a real simple role. And listen, it's not popular sometimes because I kind of feel like I really harp on this a lot. But you have to know that your role is to support your player. Okay, now the one thing, and I always tell people this about me, so I really appreciate my parents for my whole, and I understand I was self-driven as a young player, but I cannot remember one time that they got on me about what I did at the plate, making an error. Never said a thing. And they were there every single game. And I really appreciate that. But the only thing they would get on me about is sportsmanship. Right. So if there's something I did that wasn't good sportsmanship, they would certainly let me know. So I think you have to take that approach and just enjoy watching them play, the success and the failures. Okay. And if you do that and you keep in perspective all the other things we've talked about of what the true goal is, then certainly it's going to be a great experience for you. So again, I know I'm just going to keep this short. If you have any topics that you want discussed, if you have any ideas, just shoot us a message. I want to kind of get away from the online program being the only thing we talk about. Think about we may break down some swings on here, kind of give you an idea of that. But I want to discuss other topics and things that'll help parents and coaches really enjoy the experience. So just kind of in summary right here. All right, let's keep the big picture in mind. What is our goal? And I think the number one goal is the player comes back and plays each and every year. Find a program that they can improve. Learn to handle failure and success. And just remember that in the end, everybody's leading up to that same goal of middle school for high school baseball. And I heard a good, I can't remember where I heard it, but a real good quote is, you know, if a player remembers what they hit, what their batting average was when they were 12, you know, they didn't play very long, most likely. Okay, so these years are fun, they're competitive, but keep the big perspective on what we're trying to do in the travel ball arena. So appreciate everybody jumping on. Hey, let me know again. Shoot us some topics that you'd like discussed, and appreciate you jumping on, and we'll talk to you later.